other comics. And I just picked it up. I haven't read it yet, but I think there is a lot of queer material in that one. Except it doesn't help you. I don't remember the title. It's got animal characters.
That one about that dude. And
it's
that...
all animal characters.
Okay.
It's all animals. Anthropomorphic.
Oh wait, Unnatural.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I read it.
Have you read it? I haven't
Yeah.
picked it up. So is my recommendation good or bad?
It's interesting.
It's in, okay. I'll have to read it. Sorry, scratch that. I thought this would be
Or
something.
not.
Okay.
No, I mean that in a good way. I'm
Yeah.
waiting to see where it goes.
Does it have queer content? It looks
It
like it.
yes, it does. It has a queer couple in it, but that doesn't follow the main story. But it's very is very clear.
Snagglepuss.
Just stuck with your first instinct.
The queer couple is tied very closely to the main character, and they do introduce a very interesting dynamic in it.
Mhm.
So I'm waiting to see where it goes because it was originally an Italian comic that's already finished.
Yeah.
So they're just translating it.
Mhm.
But no, you are right. It does have queer content in it. I'm waiting to see whether I will like it. But I know a lot of people have liked it because issue number 1 is out of print. It's actually in the second printing. And Snagglepuss is out in trade paperback and available at your local comic shop.
Like Heidi Ho Comics.
Like Heidi Ho Comics.
Plug.
Amanda, what about you? Very behind on comics in general, but as I was working on the book and during my day job, I listened to a lot of podcasts, and most of the time they're true crime or advice podcasts hosted by 3 brothers, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But a really good dramedy kind of radio show podcast I love is called Wooden Overcoats. It's about 2 rival funeral directors on this tiny island off the coast of England, and it's just full of amazing characters, and 2 of those characters are a mayor and a vicar, and you see them develop their relationship. And it's they're an older couple, male couple, and it's really cute how they do that. So it's all audio, so they're great actors. There's one of the main characters, Georgie, she's either bi or pansexual, but you get to see her be very open about her female crushes, and I'm hoping for the 3rd season or 4th season, she gets a girlfriend finally, because she was really crushing. And then in BoJack Horseman, I thought the introduction of Todd as being, sorry, spoilers, but Todd as being asexual felt very natural, and I thought it was a great thing, for the character and for the show as a whole.
I want to ensure, I know, Ted, you have to leave a few
I have to
minutes
leave
early.
in a few minutes because we have to
Wrap up the show, exactly. So I want to ensure that we do have time, that you're here for a few audience questions if you have time. So are there any individuals in the audience who would like to pose a question to the panel? Anyone at all?
Okay.
Yes.
Hard-hitting question. What are your feelings and opinions about media being branded queer? Like, from the get-go, knowing that the creator is queer or that there are queer characters in it, the impression is that all of a sudden it's just queer media to everyone else. What are your thoughts and opinions?
You mean if there's a queer character in it? I'm sorry.
Right, so it's like the vice of representation in that, like, you have this story that you've worked on, and of course, naturally you want, you have queer characters in it, though maybe not the intent aside. If it's just seen with the queer characters in it, anyone else viewing it will be like, oh, well, it's just a queer comic.
Oh, kind of like it's been labeled basically for the gays, and it's not for anybody else.
Yeah, this kind of thing that branded as queer.
Yeah, that's very hard. I personally, I'm queer, so if something is queer, I'm just like, oh, cool, I'll watch it. But if you're trying to reach a broader audience, I can see how that can have a negative effect. And I think queer literature or queer entertainment, and basically it's accessible to everybody. But in the end game is that the product was made for queer people in mind, and I'm okay with something being labeled queer. When that label starts to affect it negatively, we have to look at why it is, and kind of like social conscience and stuff like that. Because, just because something is created by white cis men doesn't mean I'm not gonna watch it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the Marvel movies a lot. But I feel like that's more of a mental border thing. It's just like, just because something is labeled as it doesn't mean it's not for you, or that you can't watch it, but it maybe wasn't made for you in mind.
I was gonna say, my feelings are mixed in that I think it's important to label things a certain way just so the community can find it. Because sometimes I'm specifically looking for that, and if I don't know where it is, I can't find it and enjoy it. But for example, I'm working on a short film right now where the protagonist is a Latina, bisexual, polyamorous president of the United States. And she's just that. And I worked really hard to just show it without it being a thing. Because I think there's something important about just normalizing it and just having it exist without explanation and without having to make an after-school special about it and without and then I can surprise the queer community. It's like, oh shit, look at that.
It's a pleasant surprise.
Exactly. So I kind of prefer that at this point because I feel like there and obviously there's still more work to be done, but I feel like now the work is in not just like tolerance but acceptance. It's that like that it should exist everywhere. It's not just in these certain categories. It's it should be in every show. It should be in every comic. So yeah.
Tanner, Amanda,
I mean, I agree with Teresa, and I think it also has to do with how you present the subject and the quality of the writing and the characters and everything, that there'll be more acceptance rather than labeling. Again, I like to know where I can find those books where there are queer characters. But I mean, I'm not seeing it as much, or negativity. I'm not seeing as much negativity
Well, like
in terms of labeling it.
I guess my frustration would come from that. If I want to make a story and I have queer characters in it, but if people can't see the story for its intended genre, like if I'm making an action sci-fi, but they're like, oh, but it has queer characters in it, so it's a queer comic.
Yeah.
It is an action sci-fi, but it's just queer.
Yeah.
So, and it's just that kind of annoying limitation that comes with labels and the queer brand.
I
That's
would
a
hope
thing.
there's not as much of that around, because I mean, we've got major characters, although Iceman was canceled. But it's coming back. So,
And that's where you have to then start vetting who you work with. Like that's you find the companies that don't do that because there's still a lot of ignorance and there's still a lot of especially marketing departments they have to sell this stuff and it's like having a category is very important for sales, but you need to find a company with a marketing department that gets it. So and that might mean waiting. and going to more places, but it's working with the people that will help you rather than hurt you.
This all sounds good to me.
It's like, yep.
any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
As a straight male creator, my book, published by Fanbase Press.
Disclaimer.
One of the characters in the book, Harriet, she's gay, and her girlfriend is bisexual. And as a straight male writer, I'd like to know what your thoughts are on, or not even thoughts, just advice or tips on someone not being part of the LGBT community, writing LGBTQ characters, and if there's something, because I'm a person, I'm a black guy, so I'm used to being very cognizant of issues surrounding being a black male in America, but I would like to be a lot more sensitive when I'm writing these characters and these storylines. I tried to layer it in, a little bit, very subtly throughout the series, but I want to dive into it. I don't want to pull a Gravity Falls where it's like just underneath the surface of the relationship and they never outright say it. It's like Harriet and Jennifer, they're gonna, go out on dates and kiss and hang out, and I want to be able to be sensitive about writing it, because I have this different perspective, being a straight guy. So what would you offer me as far as like a creator who wants to write characters of different, backgrounds and, sexual orientations?
Research. also, the fact that you are asking means that you do have this in mind. And there's this presumption that if you're not queer, you shouldn't write queer comics. I think that is wrong. Anybody can write any comics. It's just about research. And personally, I would say read stuff that's made by queer writers because it's out there, and that will lend itself to you seeing something in a different perspective. Or seeing how I think many comics are created with other people's experiences, and so you can kind of will be able to tell that way, and just like reaching out. Also, being minority helps. Like you know what it feels to feel isolated, to feel marginalized. Given the sense of other, and that in itself will lend a lot of help. But honestly, research is good. Research is your friend.
I agree with that, but also I would say write them like people.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we talk about writing in an inclusive way, we act as though it takes a special amount of work to do it. And so people get scared because it's like, oh, I have to do all this extra research and I have to do all this extra stuff. And I do agree, research is important. Like vet it, make friends, broaden your social circles and ask people. But also don't treat it like it's this special project to get into the head of somebody else. You're getting into a character's head. Make them a person. You have a queer relationship. If you've ever been in love, draw on that. If you've ever been attracted to someone, draw on that. It's not this alien thing that whatever. The specifics will be different, but you can't go wrong if you're writing from a genuine human place.
The writers know. The writers know. I do have to.
Absolutely,
run.
yes.
First, thank you for being
of course,
for having me on the panel.
Huge thank you to Ted, and if you want to give him a round of applause. Thank you so much, Ted.
Continue.
No,
Answer.
yes.
Sorry.
No worries. I think we have time for one more question. If there are any other more questions, yes.
So I'm straight, but as you know,
It's okay.
as you know on TV, how they're starting to put more relationships for the LGBT community in TV shows. I want to know, is there a way you can, I have friends who don't like it that are in the shows, and I feel that it's okay, but it's hard for me to talk to them about saying, oh, it's okay for that, but then they're gonna want to say, oh, that's wrong. How should I tell my friend not in a good way about those things being on TV?
That is really hard.
That is an excellent question. And when I was in high school, and the friends that I have now are vastly different. When I realized my own sexuality, I had to drop some people out of my life. And that was an unfortunate circumstance because they frankly could not accept that, sometimes I like girls. Or well, most of the time. But anyways, but bringing it up, especially when when you yourself maybe don't identify as queer, but you want to stand up for them, it's hard to confront people that you consider friends, that you consider family. But if you don't venture out, and just be you have to confront some people sometimes, and it's gonna be hard. And but I think it's worth it because in a manner of speaking, you're going to see who they really are, and you kind of have to question: is this really the kind of people that I want to be with? And if it is, you have to put in the effort to be like, this is okay, and it's gonna be hard. Yeah. I'm sorry. I wish I could say something else.
No, I think it's amazing that you're asking that question and that you want to be an ally. I think that's so amazing and important. I think a big thing is picking your battles. You don't have to fight every single person, that's not just your job. Because also you can like what you like and watch what you watch, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with your friends. The biggest thing you can do is you yourself support those things. Watch the shows, buy the comics, do whatever. That's the thing you have the most control over. if somebody says something around you and you feel comfortable, like if they're a good friend of yours and you can say like, hey, that's not cool, don't say that around me, don't, you know, whatever, do that. But like, also remember that like, you're not gonna change the world by arguing with this one person to death. So like, don't stress yourself, don't like waste your energy on that, focus on what you can do to support. But if, you know, if somebody says something offensive, like speak up where you can, but also, you know, just focus on how you can help yourself.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I want to be sure to allow our panelists a moment to tell you where you can find their work, or if they're on the convention floor. I know we only have a few minutes left on the convention, but if you can find them there. Jen, I'll start with you. Where can we find them?
So our podcast has a booth. It is Artist Alley A24, and you can also listen to us for free on iTunes, Spotify, and Podomatic. We are under the name of Comadre C Comics, and you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat.
Teresa?
Yay! I was going to see if it was in here. No, because it's hard to spell. So you can find me personally on all socials at Teresa Giacino, so spelled just like that, no fancy punctuation, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. And Pamanok Entertainment, which is my production company, where I do both filmed content and I'm hoping to get into comics as well as podcasting. That is Pamanok Entertainment. It's fun. POMONOK Entertainment. And so it's PamanokEntertainment.com. Team Pamanok on Twitter and all the @related social medias.
Amanda?
You can find my book, The Margins, at the Fanbase Press booth, number 700. It's right in front of the concession stands. It's still up. You can find me, my main website is amandandonahue.com. My Instagram is dominantpanda at
Yeah.
And my Tumblr is amandashighlypredictable.tumblr.com. Check it out.
And a reminder that TED and Prism Comics can be found at prismcomics.org. They're also on the convention floor. And again, please be sure to check out the Prism grant as well. So I want to say a huge thank you to Jen, Teresa, Amanda, and Ted. Unfortunately, I had to leave a little bit early, but thank you to all of you. I'm going to give them a round of applause. And again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for those of you who asked questions. We appreciate it. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much.